actually recording a couple of videos today. So I am still 28 weeks and 4 or 5 days. But I just wanted to talk about this in a separate video on the topic of ultrasounds. And particularly because this pregnancy I've decided not to have any ultrasounds at all, and even to avoid the use of Doppler, monitoring the baby's heart rate via Doppler during pregnancy. So that's because the technology that's used with the Doppler, and that's the little, I don't know, it looks kind of like a pen, a really, really fat pen. Anyway, and they put it on your belly, and the midwife can listen to your baby's heartbeat, and often they'll do that every visit, so once a month, and usually just a minute or so, just to listen and see how baby's going. But the technology that's used for that is using the same ultrasound technology. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it. Once again, though, I do want to mention that I'm not speaking from a medical perspective. I'm speaking from the perspective of a pregnant woman, and we have a particular situation in our family. Like my 3 children that we've had, our 3 boys, have all been diagnosed with autism, and so a lot of my choices are influenced by our circumstances. So first of all, I'm not suggesting in any way that ultrasounds cause autism, but there have been some concerns about the safety of ultrasound that makes myself and my husband feel that it's not worth the risk for us. It's, whether or not it does or doesn't cause it is not the issue for me. I just want to give this baby the best possible chance that it won't have autism. Obviously, there's a lot of people who have the perspective that it's a genetic thing. I personally don't hold that view. I think if genetics play any role in it, it would be only a partial role. So I do think there's something in our environment, or maybe multiple things that are just combined are causing or turning on, activating the genes in those people that are vulnerable. So it's not, it's obviously been a very emotional journey that we've been on. They didn't all get diagnosed at once. So it was just, one child got diagnosed, and then we think that's okay, the other 2 are okay, and then the next one gets diagnosed. That's okay, we've still got one that's neurotypical, and then he got diagnosed as well. And so it's quite an emotional topic, and I probably don't really want to go too much into it because it's quite personal. But the main thing is that just to understand that that's part of my, our history, our medical history, and that is influencing how I feel about ultrasounds. Now, in all my previous pregnancies, I had ultrasounds and I had no issue with it. And I don't know whether or not they influenced whether or not my children have autism. But I guess just, I didn't have an issue with it. It was really exciting seeing baby. I think I only had a couple. I never had ultrasounds at the end of pregnancies. I always just had them, the dating scan and then the 18-week scan. So I had 2 ultrasounds, I think, in all of them, from what I can remember. But the thing about ultrasounds is that there have been some criticisms about it, in that the safety studies that were conducted back in the 90s, and the technology has actually changed a lot since then, and they use like a high frequency. I may not be using the correct terminology here, but I will put a link in the description just to, if you want to do any additional reading about, the viewpoint where there's some concerns about the safety of it. There have actually been a couple of studies, or one recent study that suggested that there may have been some kind of correlation between the severity of autism and the number of early scans that women had. Although that, whenever something controversial comes out like that, there's also going to be a lot of criticism about the study. So this, the study was based on recall, which, means, the participants remembering, recalling what happened in the past. So that can be biased, and that can, be subject to error. However, I do think there have been enough, concerns from educated people and, people in the medical field to suggest that it warrants caution. And at the very least, even our own, medical guidelines say that, ultrasound really should only be used when medically indicated. And what's happening now is a lot of people are getting multiple ultrasounds that aren't actually medically indicated during their pregnancy, but they're just, happy to have an ultrasound whenever. And, some people are having it, weekly or monthly, when you really only, according to the guidelines, I believe that the guidelines are only, keen for you to have that 18-week ultrasound. So it's certainly something that is being overused a lot now. And there is, there's concern that it's being overused in amongst, obstetricians and I guess just the general population. So, all right. What else did I want to say? So I do have the first book that I read that kind of flagged this as an issue was it's not a book actually, it's a publication. I know it's always glary when I try and show books. Okay. And it's going to probably look backwards on the video. But this is called, this publication is called Ultrasound Unsound, and it's a publication by AIMS, which is a very reputable organisation from the UK. It's the Association for Improvements in the Maternity Services. And it's a little booklet that explains and also references, and I guess discusses the issue from both sides. So that was a really good start for me, just to, I saw it as, I guess it just flagged it as a topic, as an issue for me. When I first read it though, I didn't really have an issue with ultrasound, so I just thought, oh, that's interesting. Then I also read about, other people choosing, and one in particular, one book is called Gentle Birth, Gentle Mothering, and that's by Dr. Sarah Buckley, and she's amazing. And she had a section there. She's also got articles on her website, so might be a good place to start if you don't want to read the whole book. But yeah, she talks about her choices of not using ultrasound during her pregnancies, and the research that she had done as a medical practitioner, a GP, and her choice to avoid that. So I found that interesting, and she's got references as well. I love references. And then finally, these past couple of years, there's been some articles, studies come out that have again sort of hinted that there might be an issue, and we really haven't done enough safety studies. So officially the line is that we don't know that it's unsafe, but we don't know that it's safe, if that makes sense. So nothing is confirming either way, because we haven't done enough studies recently on the current technology. So that, that's a concern to me. And I guess it really hit home, or not hit home, but it really kind of, again, reinforced this, this health choice to avoid ultrasounds. When I had a couple of clients who, I'm a doula, so I had a couple of clients who chose not to have ultrasound. And whenever, I guess because it is so normal that, everyone has an ultrasound these days, that I think it really helped to see that there are people choosing not to, make that choice, that it made it a little bit more real of an option. Because it can always be a little daunting when we make choices that aren't the same as what the majority of people are making. So I certainly know that it's right for us to not have them. I feel I just don't want to take any chances. And what comforted me and what reminded me is, like, I was born in the 80s, and my mum, she had all of us in the 80s, and did not have one ultrasound for any of us until she had my brother, and that was only recommended then because by then she was over 40. So before then, women under 40, there was absolutely no, it wasn't a routine. Women didn't have ultrasounds routinely unless there was a specific medical indication. Nowadays, women who have no medical indication are having multiple ultrasounds. And so I guess it comforted me that this is not something that we usually, that we normally did 30 years ago. And so, why should I be concerned about, avoiding it now? Because the use of ultrasound nowadays, it hasn't increased because it's been deemed necessary. It's just become, culturally accepted. And I guess it has been exciting and helpful, at least to some degree, seeing your baby on the screen. And that can be a really lovely experience, which I did enjoy in my previous pregnancies. Now, just on the flip side, the one thing that I did find a little hard earlier on in this pregnancy is that, like, really feeling connected to the baby. Now, I think Sarah Buckley has spoken about this, that, maybe it's a study or something about, that women don't necessarily feel more bonded just because they've seen their baby on a screen. However, I did experience some kind of, feeling of disconnection not having seen my baby, and particularly because I was also declining the Doppler, listening to baby's heartbeat using the Doppler. I hadn't even heard my baby's heartbeat. So, and before I felt baby move, I think that's possibly contributed to why I felt a little disconnected and nervous about the pregnancy, because I hadn't seen my baby, I hadn't heard my baby, and I hadn't felt my baby. And for all intents and purposes, I just looked like I had a pot belly, like I'd just eaten too much for dinner or something. So, in those early stages. So it wasn't until, the 18, 19 weeks that I looked pregnant. And it wasn't until I actually did feel baby move around 12 weeks, but there's such little tiny flutters that I knew it was probably baby and not just, my intestines or something, because I've been pregnant before. So I knew that those little twinges are probably baby moving. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like a baby moving. It just feels like something, fluttering. So it wasn't comforting enough to me until, the 20-week mark, 22 weeks, where there was definitely a kick or a, stretching or, the little head wriggling down there right in my pelvis. So once I started feeling baby moving, and I looked pregnant, and it was really exciting when the midwife was able to hear baby's heart using the fetoscope, which is just like, oh gosh, I've forgotten what it's called. But the thing that, people listen to your heart. So stethoscope, it looks a bit like a stethoscope, and but it's got like a little trumpety thing on the end, I think. Anyway, and she was able to hear baby's heart, and I was also able to hear baby's heartbeat. So as baby's getting bigger, we're able to use that, and that doesn't use any ultrasound. It's just, I don't know, it's very low tech. But obviously the Doppler can pick up the heartbeat a lot earlier. So yeah, it's been much more comforting now that baby's older. And I think a little part of me is like, okay, he or she is 28 weeks now, and if for some reason I went into premature labor, not that I've ever had premature labor, but just it was a thought that crossed my mind that I feel like, it will probably be okay even if we went into premature labor. So earlier on, I was just really nervous about miscarriage and stillbirth, and now I guess I'm just relaxing a little. Yeah, okay. I think I've covered everything about ultrasound. So I'm certainly not suggesting what choices you should make, but just that, these are the choices I'm making, and it might be interesting to you that some people do choose not to have ultrasound, or perhaps, the medium position would probably be to just have the medically necessary ultrasounds, and generally speaking, that's just the one around the 18, 20-week mark. Now, just one thing about it is, though, I just thought I'd mention, is in all my previous pregnancies, even though we had the ultrasound, we never found out the sex of the baby. So that's been our little thing. We've always left it as a surprise for at the birth. So that's certainly not been an issue for me at all, not knowing, because I never found out anyway. So it's going to be very exciting to find out if we've got another little boy to add to our little tribe, or if we're going to have a girl, which would also be very beautiful. So I'm happy either way. I know that we have no choice anyway. Whatever it is, it is. But yeah, so I'll put some links in the description that if you're interested, then you might be able to do a little more research and make up your own mind. But otherwise, if it's not something that concerns you, please don't be concerned. Like I said, there's nothing that proves that it's unsafe. There's just some concerns, and it's something that, because of our history, I'm just not going to go there, and I feel really confident in that choice for us. I feel that's the right choice. So anyway, what about you? How did you feel about this topic? Or how are you feeling about the topic if this is your first pregnancy? Are you having ultrasounds? Are you waiting to find out the sex, or are you couldn't wait and you've told everyone already? And yeah, please share your stories and your experiences and opinions with me as well. Okay, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.